Anyway, so what I'd like to, following on from what Dana was just talking about, and what I'd like to talk about today is the ultimate price that we all pay as a community for incarcerated people. What the costs are, what's involved, and how that ripples out into the community on families, friends, loved ones, children. I'm sure the actual, financial budgets and costs and estimates, they will be covered elsewhere today. Because ultimately, prison, when we attempt to punish one, we punish many. So like, I got sentenced to prison, and my parents had, the impact on them, having to come and visit me in remote areas every other week. Now that onflow, I got arrested and charged with the mother of my eldest child, who the mother is still in and out of prison, and my eldest hasn't seen her mother for a long time. So the impacts that plays on my family and my new kids is ongoing. And so the perpetual punishment of, I was given a 4-year sentence, and that has just, I was talking to someone just before about, I don't know whether the solution lies inside prison. I feel like it lies outside. Like, I don't know if there's any people from business or industry here today, but how many people are you employing that have a criminal record? There's a lot of space for people like me to do mentoring and all of that sort of stuff, but it doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't invite me back into the community to participate. When, the stigma that happens when released from prison, around, I'm stuck in that, I have criminogenic needs. I don't have I'm a human, I have human needs. And the way that the focus is on the deficit of a person that exits prison, over and above, what are you good at, mate? How can we help you improve that? Okay, you're really shit at this, you need to do this. Like, I don't want to do that. Ask me what I want to do, include me in the conversation. Like, there's none of that. The dehumanising process that is prison, removing all functionality. So when you get the first day in a prison, they just slowly start to erode all your capacity to function as a human being. So they cook my dinner, bring my meals, bed, everything's done for them, essentially. And then at the end of it, so you mate, here's $50 on an Opal card. I don't even know what an Opal card is at this stage. You need to function as a person in society when you enter this place at such a low functioning level, without anything addressed within the system. So and I really want to touch on, so I've done a bit of surveying, for lack of a better word. I spoke to people I was working with, that's what happened, and asked them, and not even asked them, but they were telling me stories about their involvement in the criminal justice system. And as Dana alluded before, like, these are the stories and the impacts that, it's, so understanding, a close friend of mine was a keynote yesterday, and he couldn't travel down because he couldn't come interstate because he's on parole, because if he got paid to do this gig, it was seen as proceeds of crime, which is just like beyond. Like, I was like, there's probably going to be more governors and correctional staff here than there will be wherever he's going to be on any other day. So just, that impact and what that does for a person that, is trying to better their life and improve their life. Like that, the inhibiting nature when released and the way that it's designed, it just feels like it's perfectly designed to drive everybody back in prison. And I sit in rare air. I've only been in prison once. I haven't, the only reason I've gone back is because I felt the need to, not, I had a successful real estate career at one stage. So yeah, just the injustice, you know, mainly around the colour of my skin and my white privilege. I was like, wait a minute, like what's going on? Why is this happening? Like, why could I do that and this guy can't? And then having a really good friend that I met in prison, that he got released, and what I witnessed was ultimately there was no addressing of anything that happened, and he just done everything he could subconsciously to go back. You know, often for most people, the worst day of prison is release. Because if I'm getting released back to the same situation, like you can do all this great work and make prisons fantastic internally, but if you release people to the same environment, like what's going to change? Like they'll be back again. So my theory on this is it's a community problem, and until we, me included, start to step into that space and take responsibility and not outsource it. Like my eldest 16-year-old that I had was I proposed to this woman on the back of an escort truck after we got sentenced. She said yes. You know, we got married, we had a methadone baby. It's, and I'm happy to outsource my eldest, take that away from me because I can't cope with it. And I've been lucky enough to have my mother and her grandparents to be able to step in and help in that situation. But as a community, we need to take responsibility for what we do when people are released. It's really easy to go, oh yeah, someone will take care of that, or someone's like, well, who's going to take care of that? Like we need to. And it's not about looking at the deficits. I feel it's about looking at So the juvenile population in prison sits at about 1,000-ish every night. That translates into 40,000. So the vast majority of kids in juvenile go to prison, right? So how can we stop the 1,000 turning into 40,000? That's simple math, really. I come into this and I was somewhat of a prison reformer. I went to go and change the system from the inside. I applied for a job as a service and program officer in New South Wales. The guy rang me up and he said, mate, I was really impressed with the interview, but when I type your name into the system, you come up as an unsatisfactory person. So what does that mean? What does that mean, mate? He goes, I don't know, that's above my pay grade. And anyway, 3 years in the Human Rights Commission, I was able to get corrections to change the policy on their website. So just most people don't have 3 years to battle that. I've been blessed. Like I said, the privilege is not lost on me. I come from middle class, white family. My parents are still together. Think about the vast majority of the demographic of prison. It's so on that dot, on all of whoever's doing studies like that dot. We won't worry about it because he doesn't fit this scale. So I understand. I'm aware of that. However, the assistance required when supporting people exit is significant. And if we can start to spend that money on, Clarence in New South Wales is 1,700 bed, I don't know how much, just the way, safer communities, like it was said before, safer communities don't build more prisons. Safer communities close prisons, and safer communities have community participation at grassroots level. And that requires us getting off our phones and participating in fucking life. It's the bane of my existence. Put down heroin and pick up the phone essentially, but that starting to get back to those connecting with humans as humans, seeing other people as humans, the labelling of people, criminal, criminogenic, all of that sort of stuff, being aware of what happens in that space when they are labelled that, and how it just keeps, if you're a parolee and I see you coming into the parole office, that's all you're ever going to be to me, a parolee. So all these words and languages, consumers, blah, 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 they're people. These are people whose lives we're dealing with, Vulnerable people. These are vulnerable people that are being punished at the most vulnerable time of their life. You know, if you take it back to the kids, like my youngest is starting to be involved in the criminal justice system. She's screaming out for help. That's all she wants, help. I haven't modelled it to her mother. No one's modelled her how to ask for help. So, you know, it looks like antisocial behaviour. So what happens when children behave antisocially? We punish them. Like, why would they come back asking for help? And, you know, the stunted development in that space and, you know, going into the prison environment, like that's, you know, they're all just big boys that are scared shitless, really. That's been my experience. You know, I remember being stood over by the sergeant of arms of the Comancheros to read his love letters because he was illiterate, and he'd be bawling his eyes out going, if you fucking tell anyone about this, I'm going to stab you. It's like, you know, just some of the situations and scenarios that I've been in and exposed to are just quite jarring, you know. And I don't, you know, I'll say that randomly at the dinner table, you know, and all of this, you know. I've gone from marrying a woman that I proposed to on the back of an escort truck that was a co-offender to being married to a family therapist who has just been elected president of the PNC. Like, my world is just like fucking beyond my wildest dreams. I don't know how it's happened. But it's about getting and giving those second opportunities. You know, and when people get out and they fall down, like, it's not time to punish them, it's time to pick them up and go, how can we help you more? How can we help you more? Not, fuck, you're fucked up again and I'm going to punish you even further. Like, it just doesn't work. It's, the evidence is there. Like, prison and the punitive, it's never changed anyone's behaviour. And it won't, you know. If I smack my kids, like, they don't stop doing what, like, it's that you know, increasing capacity at a grassroots level and then onto, you know, exiting prison and inclusion, celebrating diversity. That's where I sit on the solution to prison. I think I said this already. I started out as a reformist and now I'm an abolitionist, mainly because I feel like the New South Wales prison system is that broken. It's like it's beyond repair. I'm not saying there should be no prison, but the way that it looks and the way that it is, it's just not working and it's just building more prisons. But when I come to you and I say, hey, I've got a great idea for your business, in 5 years, it's going to be shut. Where's the incentive there? For you to buy in and go, oh, that's a good idea, yeah, I'll be out of a job. Essentially, I'd love to be out of a job as a support worker for people getting out of prison. Okay, that's it. I can go on for hours and hours, so feel free to talk to me afterwards. But yeah, Claire's going to come and talk to